My mate Paul tried to create a new life form by inserting his DNA into a grapefruit, but halfway through the experiment, the greengrocer started hitting him. Why is science so controversial?
Sorry, that question didn't follow from your story of the DNA.
No, it changed, yeah.
Hello guys,
Hello everyone,
I am Valdemar.
and I'm Veronica, and today we are watching for the second time on this channel some Philomena Cunk.
Yeah, my mate Paul. And I saw some jokes with the mate Paul. She asked about her mate Paul.
Yeah.
But like 2 or 3
I think
jokes?
I saw maybe one, but I don't even remember the specifics. I did not watch this video so that you would be sure that this is my first time watching. I don't think I know any of these clips. Maybe Valdemar will know some of them, I don't know, but it says the ultimate 2025 compilation, so there should be some new ones added on top of that. I think most of them are supposed to be fresh. We did say in the first video from Philomena that we watched, that you can see up there, that we will not be watching too many compilations from her because we just know a lot of jokes. So we don't want to pretend that this is the first time we're seeing it. We were trying to find something that we really haven't seen. If there's anything in this video that we've seen, then we're going to let you know. If there's a lot, we will abandon it, but I'm sure it's going to be fine.
I've seen some rolls on Instagram with her, and
I
because
haven't
because I
lately.
have seen I've seen so many, then it showed me more and more and more. So
Yeah,
I've
because
seen
Valdemar
some.
has no self-control, and then I will walk into him sitting on the couch and he's watching funny videos. And lately he's been showing me a lot of Louis C.K., I have to tell you. I have to rat on you a little bit. And I'm like, no, stop it, save it for the channel. And he's like, no, it's so short. There's no point. You have to just watch it. And then you don't get any new Louis C.K. content because someone has already showed me all the funny jokes. But I don't watch Philomena Cunk. I actually always scroll away and then the algorithm stops showing me that.
Well, I have seen some shorts, some rolls, but yeah, about the mate Paul, like I said, I have heard like couple. She mentions him sometimes. It's always the same friend, Paul, but not enough for a 10-minute video. So yeah. I think there will be a lot.
And it's quite
new.
fresh, this video as well. So again, I hope there's something
Yeah, the
new.
title is 2025 compilation, so it should be fresh.
Yep.
Let's see.
Let's watch.
Something alive. What is the difference between the living and the dead?
What's his name?
What is life?
When my friend Paul went to Thailand, he had a bad pill and ended up crying and trying to run into the sea for 3 weeks. And this is just like that. It's like he's had a bad pill. You know when people talk about opening the third eye, that's what my mate Paul calls the hole in the end of his penis. Why would anyone want to widen that? My mate Paul did a 30-mile sponsored walk to Harrogate dressed as Spider-Man for Help for Heroes. And on the day, he had terrible diarrhea, but he soldiered on. And it was one of the most noble but disgusting things I've ever seen. Eventually, the organisers had to intervene, but he raised £368. You know, the Crusaders never did that, did they?
That's the one I've seen.
My mate Paul pretended to be in a neck brace for 6 months to get money from a car insurance company, and he won an award after he'd gone to court. What's the most disgusting thing you've heard someone do with a red nose? Because my mate Paul, he did this party trick that he always does with a red nose, and he put it sort of on his intimate skin, and it sort of tore it and it went septic. Actually, I think that might mean he qualifies for some sort of charity money.
That is the first and most disgusting thing I've heard done with a red nose.
It's awful, isn't it, to think what people might be doing with them right now.
What are they talking about?
I don't know.
I thought you knew.
No, I was hoping I could ask you.
First, I heard red nose.
I had red nose too. But I don't know. I think it's like.
Do you want to try with the subtitles?
Yes, please. Oh no, it's in Polish. No, they say red nose in Polish. Then we are never gonna find out.
No.
Let's try again.
What's the most disgusting thing you've heard someone do with a red nose? Because my
God damn it. Maybe it is red nose. Maybe red nose is
maybe
something
you
we
need
don't
some
know about.
context.
Please help us out.
Also, I must say I'm quite disappointed in this video because I was expecting like a longer jokes, and she just says her part but you don't hear the question, and it's
maybe later because this one is already a bit longer.
The big part of a comedy in those shows of hers
is the awkwardness.
Yeah, it's the awkwardness that there is with especially on the guest's face.
Let's see, because this one was already a little bit longer.
This one was better.
Paul,
what is the red nose?
He did this party trick that he always does with the red nose, and he put it sort of on his intimate skin, and it sort of tore it, and it went septic.
Why do I have to go through this again?
Actually, I think that might mean he qualifies for some sort of charity money.
That is the first and most disgusting thing I've heard done with a red nose.
It's awful, isn't it, to think what people might be doing with them right now. Are eyes made of atoms?
Yes.
Because my mate Paul did ketamine once, and he said he started counting all the atoms in his eyes. Then he tried to eat a towel and he ended up in hospital.
Okay.
LSD isn't always a happy experience. Like, my mate Paul met this Italian couple whilst he was backpacking, and they invited him back to their room for a threesome, and they gave him some LSD, and when they got there, the bloke one pulled a screwdriver on him and made him shit in his own shoe and eat it, whilst the woman one filmed it. And that's a side of drug use that Paul McCartney doesn't sing about, isn't it?
No, well, I think luckily that kind of experience never came his way.
Which is what Greece looked like anyway back in...
But I love, because we talked about this in the last video as well, like that the professors, they don't know what they sign up for. Like, they know it's going to be outrageous, but they don't know what they're going to pull out from the hat. Like, sometimes it's just a strange question about the Egyptians, and other times it's a weird story about screwdrivers and threesomes.
But what's interesting about it is, I wonder how this looks, because if she is able to say it on her first try, because if she's able to say it, then she is like the best actress in the world, and
I
you
would
should
like
give her
bloopers.
an Oscar already. Because if it's not her first rehearsal, her first time, then the reaction on the face of the other person is not as
I think it must
real.
be. I think she maybe rehearses like in front of the crew. That's what I would do, so that the joke is not funny anymore, so you would have to say it a couple of times.
Yeah, but it's not about funniness. It's about speaking to like a professor of, I don't know, of Egyptology.
It's probably easier with every time, right? I don't know, but yeah, I wish there were, because I actually searched it up even before we had the channel, like some videos of her breaking character or bloopers, but there aren't any.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that when she like loses it or something.
Yeah.
Can you go back?
But it would ruin things a bit, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I think exactly
because
that's exactly
when
why
I
they
see
don't.
when I see her, I see Philomena Cunk and not the actress. Diane.
But I think that's part of the reason why they don't post bloopers, because it would lose its charm.
Yeah.
You can see her in the interviews, of course, she's herself sometimes, but she's very often not as well. And I think it would, it would ruin things. Can you go back just to,
Never came his way.
Which is what Greece looked like anyway back in 2002 when I went there with my mate Paul. He fell off a scooter and took all the skin off his palms. That's not relevant, but it's stuck in my head, and I don't think the sight of it will ever leave me, to be honest. My mate Paul wrote a story about a man who got a new potato stuck up himself following an ill-advised sex game. And he wrote that in the form of a limerick. No one died, but it sounds horrendous. Is that a tragedy? Or would the potato have to take root and kill him for it to qualify?
It sounds like a very unfortunate incident. I'm not sure it has a more timeless relevance that might make it a tragedy.
Paul said it really happened as well. Honestly, he's had such a time of it lately. He really needs a holiday. Before the Renaissance, other people's paintings were in a sort of wonky 2D. That's because artists had no sense of perspective. A bit like my mate Paul, who punched a waiter in a TGI Fridays for dropping his banoffee pie.
Let's go, girls.
All right, Paul. Oh, no, I can't. I've got to read my book. No, I've got to read it in front of a camera. Don't know why. They just told me to do it. Yeah. It's all right. It's a bit dull, really. Won't let me put any pictures in it. Yeah, I know. I don't think anyone will buy it either. Yeah, all right. I'll see you later. What? Don't know. Might just have a jacket potato or something. Yeah. All right. See you later. All right, bye. My mate Paul tried to create a new life form by inserting his DNA into a grapefruit, but halfway through the experiment, the greengrocer started hitting him. Why is science so controversial?
Sorry, that question didn't follow from your story of the
No,
DNA
it changed, yeah. Being exposed to ancient Greek philosophy wasn't boring like it is now, but a mind-expanding experience that transformed the way they saw themselves. Like when my mate Paul ate 5 ketamine brownies and thought he could communicate telepathically with any animal he saw on television. Although, whereas Paul ended up sectioned for his own safety, our ancestors decided to...
Why do you look like you relate for some reason? What do I not know about you?
I remember this one time when I was not on ketamine, but we had this. I was with my friends, and we had this. We were watching some news, and I don't know how it is in your countries, but in Poland, when you're watching news, there is always like a small person in the corner of the TV doing the sign language. Yeah, and we had this idea that no one knows the sign language basically besides the deaf people. So what if they're like communicating with each other, and there is like a
secret society?
Some plot created by them, and they are using the TVs on the world to communicate with each other. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's like I believe it now.
I realize you don't believe it. Yes, I know. Thank you for making it clear, though.
It was an interesting thought to have at this moment.
At this moment. Okay, go.
But the idea of communicating telepathically with animals...
Specifically on TV, not just...
It's funny.
It is funny.
Decided to change the world. My mate Paul sent me this thing on YouTube which proves that spiders aren't actually alive. They just look as if they are, and no one knows what they're made of. What's that?
This is a fly machine. It's like a helicopter.
It doesn't look very convincing. Like my mate Paul invented a treadmill for his fiance's pet snake, and the sketches for that were much more convincing than this, and he was on mushrooms. Mind you, the prototype did pull the snake's head off. Yeah. Worst ending to a birthday party I've ever been to. Like once my mate Paul was slicing a pear at a festival with his penknife, and it was just unbearably tense to watch because he was really drunk and sort of cutting it in the hand he was holding it in, and I could hardly stand to watch that. But with sword fights, even though swords are bigger than penknives and they really wave them around, it's like a dance routine or a sort of metal squabble. So there's never this sort of same sense of danger there was with Paul and the pear. Some people have a sudden religious conversion, don't they? My mate Paul was driving to Winchester when a lorry jackknifed in front of him, and he was hurtling towards it and everything went slow-mo. And Paul, who's never been religious, spoke to Jesus and said, "I promise if I survive this, I'll believe in you." And he did survive, but he fractured his skull and broke both his legs. Why did Jesus do that to him?
Well, you've raised a very significant question about the nature of providence.
Have I?
You have indeed. If we believe in a good God, why is there so much evil in the world? Now, your friend, Paul, his accident, to what extent can one blame God for that?
See, Paul never forgave him. He said, if I ever see Christ again, he's a dead man.
Right.
You're facing the electric chair. Aren't you worried about what's going to happen?
I've made my peace with the Lord, but I'm ready to meet him.
Yeah, but aren't you scared it'll hurt? It's millions of volts. My mate Paul says your liver fries and your kidneys pop and your bowels go into reverse flow and shoot boiling shit up into your throat, which chokes you. Apparently, it'd be genuinely more humane to just pay some of the other inmates to hold you down and physically pull your head off.
What is this?
Anyway,
what's this episode?
Best of vlog. Chose is meant to be.
I wanted to say, I had no idea that she has a show like this. I thought it's only like interviews with real people.
I suppose this was maybe part of like some torture, but I don't think. I mean, I suppose these are.
Can you imagine
It is real.
if this was a real convict?
But we don't use I say we as if we were using anything. But they don't use electric chairs anymore, do they?
Who?
For death penalty.
Yes, they do.
They do? Well, for
Americans?
us only the lethal injection.
No, it depends on the state.
Oh.
In some state there is.
Why is it not the injection everywhere?
It's not that fast fun, and you can go, you can watch. So it's more fun with the chair, and it's not only way. It's chair, it's lethal injection, and I think there is I think one more option.
There's one more option. Okay.
But there were more, of course, but no.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, they don't. Is there a country where they still hang people?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
In Africa, Asia, maybe. Is there a country in either of the Americas or in Europe? No, Europe, no. But is there a country in either of the Americas where they still hang people? A question for the commenters.
I think it's pretty common. Like, you know that in Poland, that was the method of execution.
Yeah, but I would like
and
to...
the last execution was like 30 years ago.
Yeah, but I'm kind of asking about... Okay, is there a country where democratic government hangs people?
I don't know how about Japan. Because Japan has a death penalty.
I think they have the injection. I don't know. If you guys know, let us know. I think I'll read about it because now I'm really curious.
I don't know how it happened that we are talking about.
I have no idea. It was the first argument. I mean, the first discussion we've ever had actually about the death penalty. Let's not get into it just now.
Quite rude, isn't he? Could you describe best of luck? Chose is meant to be quite rude, isn't he? Could you describe a rude bit for me?
So there's a very famous scene where there's a very pretty woman called Alison who everyone fancies, and she's in her bedroom with one lover, and then another would-be lover arrives at the window to serenade her and begs her for a kiss, and she sticks her arse out of the window, her naked arse, and he kisses that very enthusiastically, and then suddenly realises what he's done and is quite upset and runs away.
Right, that's not very rude, is it? Like, my mate Paul told me this joke about this bloke in prison who wore a bib round his backside, and that story went places I wasn't prepared for. Like, not even funny, just disturbing. And when I looked up, Paul was crying. My mate Paul says if you look in a mirror for about an hour, it's possible to trick your consciousness into thinking it's inside the other you, and then you can run off before it can jump back out and get you. He said he managed it once, but about a second after he started running, he caught his balls on a door handle and ended up rolling around on the floor in agony while his consciousness watched him from the mirror, pissing itself.
I don't think your consciousness can go inside a mirror.
Do worry about Paul. I think he just hasn't found his role in society. I don't know if you've done your own research, but my mate Paul sent me a video that exposes the whole thing. Can you prove the moon exists? You can't, can you?
We see it in the sky. We have sent spacecraft to the moon. We've brought samples back to Earth.
No, watch the video. It'll open your eyes. Mirrors are windows into other universes, aren't they?
No.
My mate Paul says they run on quantum power, and that's why you can see into an alternative dimension in which everything's the same as our realm, but backwards.
What does Paul do?
Well, he worked in a tennis ball factory where he had to catch the tennis balls, but he was fired from that. Now he's unemployed. Sorry, am I wasting your time?
Yeah.
I want to see the episode with the physicist. I think it's supposed to be.
You know him, right?
What?
You know him.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't because he's famous from physics, yeah. But I don't remember his name, and I don't know why he's famous. I just know that he is.
Yeah, but I obviously know him, but the name flew my head. I will add it in the post production.
How did you like it?
I loved it. I really like her. It's so funny. I mean, and I think now that we watched all of it, I think especially for the older seasons, I would like to sit down, not in here, but just to watch the whole episodes. Because I would like to see, I mostly watch compilations and reels on Instagram or TikTok, and I think I would like to see how it ties in, because I know there's an small educational aspect to it as well. It's not just funnies, right?
Very small.
Yeah, but I think it's mostly funny if you already know a little bit about this stuff. But I like that.
And the clips that we've seen now, the one that looked like they were taped on green screen, shoot on green screen.
Yeah.
I don't think that they are from the same show. I think like the character is much older than the show, you know?
Yeah.
Like I think that she created a character first and she tried
it out in a different show. I think so too.
And then they came out. I don't know if it was her idea or someone else's, the idea for the show with the interviews. But for a moment, it works best with this formula, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. How did you like it?
Yeah, very much. Like I said, I've seen like a clip or two from this compilation. I've seen this one about Jesus.
Yeah, I think I've saw the one about Jesus too, and the one when I said I did see it, I already forgot which one it was. But yeah, I hope you guys liked watching it with us, and if yes, then you know what to do.
Can you imagine if the maid Paul is a real person? Like if she has a character,
I hope he is.
Like if she is a real...
And he's like the most boring, plain, normal person you've ever met. That would be very funny. And he's never done any drugs.
No, I mean other way around. Like if the Philomena Cunk is just a persona of the real actress,
maid Paul is real.
But the maid Paul is real, yeah.
No, I would be thinking more like it's actually her real good friend, and she just makes up all these stories about him, and he's like, oh my god. But he's super proper. Never been to a party. I'd like this version more. I don't know. Okay, guys. I started to say, you can leave us any suggestions in the comments or subscribe, and stay tuned for our movie reaction channels, which is coming soon enough, and we're gonna start hyping it up a little bit. And I think that's it for today, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for watching with us, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thank
Bye.
You. Goodbye.